Strip.
Yes, sir.
First kata.
Yes, sir.
He was the world's finest assassin until misfortune occurred, causing him to be reincarnated with one mission, and one mission only, to kill the hero. Before he reincarnated, he was allowed to choose his skills by the goddess, making his mission a tad bit easier. Although this all happened, it leads the question to how he died, so let's backtrack a tad bit. The story begins with our protagonist taking shots on suited men, showing no mercy to the enemies before him. After farming some of them, he feels like it's best to run now, so he goes to pack up. His assistant protests his decision, but the man persists, telling her that they only need to kill a few of the opponents. As they are packing up, a spy plane peers overhead, causing them to rush away in a dire situation. Despite their quick escape, they are discovered by the enemies, allowing them to get in close. While this happens, the old man tells his assistant how to deal with them, showing even in such a dire situation he hasn't lost hope. Eventually their car explodes, causing the enemies to think that they are through with. Surprisingly, however, the old man and his assistant escape from their grasp by jumping ship right before the explosion. Although he has escaped, he is still on guard, knowing once they inspect their vehicle, their escape will be compromised. Once the two survey the area and deem that they are in the clear, they rest for the night. While chilling, the assistant asks the old man why he originally became an assassin in the first place. He explains that he was raised by this organization, so he has been with them his whole life. He continues by telling her that despite being bound to this organization his whole life, he has no regrets, feeling he has been treated well. Following this, he calls his assistant a novice, asking her why she is asking him so many questions about his life. She tells him she isn't a novice, so he shows how inexperienced she really is, whipping a gun out and pointing it at her face. He reminds her that although she thinks she is safe around him, he could turn on her at any time. He asks why she hasn't pulled her gun out in defense, reminding her that she has the chance to fight back. Ultimately, she does nothing, allowing the old man to lay down relaxed. To his surprise, she points her gun at him, trying to turn the tables. She tells him to get up, but he drops all of her bullets, informing her that she has no chance against him. They then head to a safe house to report their mission to their higher-ups. Upon completion, the organization tells the old man that he is finished with his work and he can retire. The old man has other plans, however, telling them that he will continue working under them, now as a teacher. With this, he guides his assistant to a plane where they embark on a new journey to meet ninjas. While on this plane, the old man thinks he will have an easy life, but suddenly the plane starts rocking. Before we continue, let's take a moment to answer the question of the day. What would you rate my intro on a scale of 1-10? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Now back to the recap. The old man pulls out his phone and learns that their plane has been hijacked by a group of terrorists. He knows, however, that this is all a ploy to kill him and get rid of any information leaking out. He explains this to his assistant and starts thinking of a plan to get out of this situation. Upon arriving at the cockpit, he finds the pilots dead, meaning the flight is bound to sink to the ground. He decides to become the pilot himself, but notices that this wasn't the only plan the organization has. With a jet cruising alongside them, he realizes his time is up once the plane shoots a missile at his plane. This causes him to die with regret, wondering why he was betrayed by the organization after devoting his life to them. This regret turns into hatred, causing him to not want to give up on life just yet. He reaches out to try and grab onto his pointless life, but instead finds himself in a new world. He looks around and finds a beauty sitting on a throne who explains what happened to him. She tells him that she brought him here after he died, and that she is a goddess. She continues by explaining that he has two choices: one, to be reincarnated without his memories, and live a peaceful life without worry of fighting for his life. The other option is to keep his memories and go into a world of her choice for her goal. Without hesitation, he chooses the second option, asking to be reincarnated with his memoirs. Once the goddess hears this, she explains the rules of the reincarnation, telling him he needs to assassinate the hero of the world. Before he is reincarnated, the goddess decides to treat him to some tea to hopefully send him into the new world on a good note. He accepts her hospitality and asks more about his new world. She tells him that he will be in a world with a leveling system, telling him he can gradually grow stronger with time. He then reminds her of his life as an assassin, claiming to be the best of the best. He assures her that he will assassinate her target without fail, asking her to explain more about the job. She tells him that he has 18 years after he is reincarnated to kill the hero, or he will fail the mission. She then gives him all the knowledge of the new world and how the magic works. After assessing this, the assassin is confident that he can take out the hero, telling her it will be a quick job. Before this, he asks why she needs him to kill the hero, so she explains. With the hero being good now, he will gradually become stronger, and ultimately become the reason the world is brought into chaos. With him being a double-edged sword, the goddess reminds him that although he will be reincarnated, it won't be an easy job. He knows this as a distinguished assassin, so he asks her for the best of the best skills. She accepts his request and tells him he can pick his skills. Once he learns this, he wonders why the goddess can reincarnate him to kill someone but not do it herself. She explains that it's more of a game to them, asking him to restrain himself a bit. She asks him to not kill the hero until he has defeated the Demon King so that the world can proceed as planned. Once he hears this, he moves on to picking his skills, but with over 100k, it's no easy choice. With the hero having up to 30 skills, he is limited to only 5, meaning he has to pick them carefully. He starts by picking a S-rank recovery skill to ensure that he never has to worry about being injured on the battlefield. He then moves on to an A-rank skill, one that allows him to create any new types of spells within his power. Following this, he chooses a B-rank skill that gives him an advantage at leveling up. For his C-rank skill, he picks martial arts, knowing that he doesn't need any weapons if he chooses this. Then for his final skill, he picks a D-rank skill that he deems better than any other. Following this, he picks his attributes, which he will use primarily in battle. After looking at all the attributes, he picks the 4 main attributes: wind, fire, earth, and water. Once he finishes picking all these skills, the goddess seems disappointed, asking why he picked such plain skills. He tells her that she doesn't need to worry about him, so she begins the process of reincarnating him into another world. With this, he is finally teleported to the new world, making him excited for this mission. He knows, although he only has one main mission, he can't relax in this life. To his surprise, however, he starts as an infant named Lug. While being held idly, his parents talk about how they plan on making him an adventurer. His mum seems hesitant about this, but his father is sure that he will raise Lug to be a strong man. Fast forward 7 years, and Lug is able to move around on his own as an adventurer. He hones his skills by hunting animals in the forest, gradually becoming stronger. With his aim being immaculate, he brings home a rabbit for dinner. After presenting it to his family, they wonder how such a scrawny child can bring home such perfect animals all the time. Lug, on the other hand, cares not about his family, hunting and cooking simply to increase his strength. With him knowing that one's strength comes from their energy, he makes sure to cook high nutrition meals daily. His parents recognize his skills and applaud him, telling him he will be a great assassin. See, Lug was born into a noble family of assassins that are considered the best of the best. Eventually he finishes cooking his meal, so he presents it to his hot mom. She tells him it's as good as a gourmet restaurant, so she offers to have him cook for their upcoming party. While his parents talk, Lug tells us about how nice his life has been since reincarnating. He sees this life as a blessing, wondering why he couldn't live like this in his past life. His father then calls him down to their dungeon to start his training. First he is ordered to strip so that his father can properly assess his techniques. Once he gets into position, his father tells him to continue the movements, checking the development of his muscles. Although this seems mad sus, his father has good intentions, only wanting Lug to bring out his full potential. With their family being established around the business of killing, his father makes sure he doesn't miss a day of training. Eventually his dad gets finished checking him out, which causes him to congratulate Lug. He tells him he is ready to further their training and give them their family's special eyes. With it being one of the strongest skills passed down by their family, Lug is forced to cover his eyes for a bite after receiving the new eyes. Because of his eyes being covered, his mother decides to play with him a bit by forcing his face in her chest. Instead of indulging in her greatness, he runs off to his father, asking him for help. His father asks him how his eyes are, to which Lug reveals he is ready to take off the bandages. Once he tells them this, he is finally allowed to take off the blindfold and look upon his new world. With the eyes having the ability to magnify, he is able to clearly see anything around their family's castle. Not only is he able to magnify, but he can also see the levels of magic that people have. His father notices this and informs him that he will be hiring a magic tutor for him to proceed with his training. Before the tutor arrives, his mum dresses him up, showing that she clearly isn't happy about Lug growing up. Lou, on the other hand, is ticked off by his mum's silliness. so he asks to change before meeting his teacher, but she persists. This causes him to go outside looking like a fool, making a weird first impression. His tutor asks him why he is dressed like that, wondering why she has to teach such a weird child. Lug acts tough to her, which causes his tutor, Dia, to flex her skills on him. Once he sees her skills, he accepts her as her tutor, despite her only being 3 years older than himself. To start their training, Dia presents him with a stone that is used to store mana in order to check how much mana he really has. After using his power, Dia is impressed by the amount of mana Lug has, not knowing that it was just the tip of the iceberg. As he continues to expand his magic, she becomes stunned, wondering how someone his age can have such strength. Eventually, he overloads the ball too much, forcing him to throw it into the sky, causing an explosion. With him still not realizing the power he holds, he thinks nothing of it when his mansion is ruined. Once this explosion takes place, Lug's father rushes over, asking Lug why he caused such a destruction. Despite his aggressive questioning, he is happy with Lug for causing such a large explosion. They then proceed with their training, Lug asking Dia to provide him with more of the mana stones. She explains that it's a unique item from her family, so she can't just pass them around. Later that night, Lug heads to bed, but not without flirting with his tutor. He invites her into his room, where the two of them share a bed. Lug wonders why she is acting so friendly towards him, so he keeps his guard up. The following morning, Dia gives him another one of the stones to pour his mana into, this time asking him to restrain himself a bit. She measures his mana, checking what attributes he has, and is stunned to learn he has 2 attributes. She tells him she has never met anyone other than herself with 2 attributes, so he is very lucky. Lug knows this isn't the end, however, so he tells her to check if he has the other attributes. This causes her to learn that he has all 4 main elements, making her want to train him even more. She starts by stripping him down, it being a normal way to train people in this world apparently. She then informs him how to make the mana flow, seeing if he can properly harness his powers. This causes him to be reborn with a new purpose in mind, deciding to try and focus on his mana now. After using an element, he remembers when the goddess first introduced him to mana, allowing him to create a spell. Once he does this, he asks Dia how he can continue making spells, seeing only numbers. She explains that he needs to envision the spell himself, and repeat after her, so he does. Upon repeating the spell, he gets it down first, making Dia wonder what the extent of his potential is. Later that night, he heads to bed, but is accompanied by Dia yet again. While he tries to sleep, she rambles on and on about various things, asking Lug how he is so good at everything. He explains that he is just that guy, causing Dia to go to sleep unsatisfied. The following day, Lug has just about perfected Dia's spell, making her thrilled. Lug isn't satisfied with just this, however, asking her if he can create his own spells from scratch. She tells him it's possible, so she writes the spell, allowing Lug to summon a square of iron. After this, he asks her to continue making spells this time, using their existing spells and changing up the formula slightly. Thanks to this idea, he is able to change the spell up, and eventually spawn in gold. With him having an infinite money glitch, Dia tells him that he could do anything he wants in this world. Lug doesn't stop there, however, asking Dia to help him in making even more new spells. Before they continue, Dia tries out his gold spell, summoning in a block of gold herself. This excites the duo to continue making spells completely unknown to their current world. With this spell being a big one, they head into the forest where Lug tries it out. By initially summoning a gun, then using magic to increase the speed and aim, he is easily able to take out targets. He then decides to increase the strength of the spell, summoning a large cannon. With it holding the power to destroy mountains, Dia wonders why he would ever need such a powerful spell. He offers to show her the spell, but she explains that to pull off a move like that one would need an insane amount of mana. Following this, the time where the two say goodbye eventually comes. Dia tries to service Lug one last time before leaving, but he has other plans. He gets out of bed and gives her a custom-made knife that shines in the night. He tells her that this is his final gift to her, asking her to visit him again sometime. Dia then presents one of the stones to him, reminding him to keep their promise. She tells him that if she needs his help, then he needs to come to her side, which he agrees to. With this, she is shipped back to her country, wishing she could have stayed longer. Lug, on the other hand, is ready to advance his training, asking his father to show the true power of their family techniques. With this, they head to a prison where his father shows him various prisoners. He tells him that he needs to be strong and never hesitate to kill others. They then arrive at a dungeon where Lug is ordered to kill one of these said prisoners. With a girl standing before him, she pleads for her life, telling Lug that she only committed crimes to feed herself. This doesn't faze him, however, so he walks up to her, slicing her hand off hastily. Lug tells her that she will bleed to death with this small slice, bringing out the girl's true nature. She tells Lug he deserves to die, causing him to finish her off for good. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out the winner of the last video's top comment, Monsterzig 1805. Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Let's get back to the recap. Following these events, Lug heads to the market of their city, revealing that 2 years have passed. With him being 10 years old now, he tries to explain to his mum that he isn't her plaything anymore, but she can't deal with this. His father then thanks him for providing his food knowledge to them, explaining that the people are loving it. On top of this, Lug provided all the meat for the market, allowing them to feed anyone who wants to eat. While all of this happens, various girls call out for Lug, showing he has been busy these past 2 years. Despite all of this, he is still unsure if he will be strong enough to defeat the hero with only 8 years remaining. Because of this fear, he continues his training, making sure to hunt even when it's cold outside. After arriving into the forest where he plans to hunt, he scans the area for nearby animals. Upon completing this, he finds a girl surrounded by a pack of wolves. He deals with the first one with ease, but with him being surrounded, he is forced to get serious. He begins his attack by activating a spell to enclose his arms in steel. Thanks to this skill, he is easily able to slice through wolves, knocking them around like insects. Eventually the wolves get an attack in, or so they thought, but Lug is too strong. He overpowers all of the wolves, then questions the filthy girl, asking why she is in his forest. She explains to him that she is from a poor family and she was sent here to beg for money. Once Lug hears this, he is reminded of his previous life, being forced to do things for others' benefit. Because of this, he takes pity on her and provides her with a bowl of soup that he just happens to have on him. Once the peasant girl takes the first bite, she realizes that she has been living her life wrong her whole life. She scarfs down the first bowl quickly, causing Lug to offer her another bowl. Once Lug sees all of this, he wonders how bad the neighbouring nobles must be to treat someone like her so badly. She then starts talking, telling Lug that she was told by God that she would be safe if she went to this forest. Once Lug hears this, he realizes she isn't just some random person, so he invites her to stay by his side. She gladly accepts his request, causing Lug to fill her in on his situation. He tells her that he is a cold blood killer, asking if she will still be by his side despite this. She persists, telling him she will do anything he asks of her, showing she has no regard for her own life. She then introduces herself as Tart, causing Lug to explain why he chose her. With Tarta having an influx of mana despite her age, he recognizes the potential she holds. He tells us that although he is being nice on the surface, he plans on bringing her in on his scheme to assassinate the hero of this world. 40 years before this all happened, a scruffy-looking man was summoned into the God's Zone. Instead of treating him kindly, she laughed in this man's face, telling him the same thing as Lug. She explains that she needs him to kill the hero, but the man gets a bit too excited, asking to be reincarnated as a beauty. Instead of doing what he said, however, he turned into a fat loser, neglecting the goddess's request. Lug, on the other hand, is now 12 years old, proceeding smoothly in his quest to defeat the hero. With 2 years having passed since their first meeting, Tart now has a busty figure, making you wonder what she has been eating. Lug brings this up, telling her that when they first met, he didn't know she would become as hot as she is now. This makes her embarrassed, so she rushes off to make breakfast for Lug. While he eats, she provides him with anything he needs, showing that despite her looks, she is still his slave at heart. His father notices this, so he thanks Tarta for pleasing Lug with not only her skills but also her body. Lug's mum takes advantage of this to tease him, telling Lug that he would surely not be as strong without her. Lug then heads down into the dungeon in which he was trained to help with Tarta's training. He tells her to strip so that he can inspect her various forms. With her always being around Lug, he decided to train her himself, hoping that she would do some of the dirty work for him. Despite her training progressing steadily, he is still unsure how he can instill his mindset into her. He tells her to attack him to see her skills, but she gets thrown around with ease. Instead of being disappointed, he continues his training until the next day. With her having a hard-working attitude towards things, Lug knows that one day she will become strong enough to be a suitable partner. Despite their training, however, she is still trash with everything other than a spear. He explains this to her, telling her she is no longer needed if she can't meet his expectations. She pleads for him to give her another chance, so he gives her a foldable spear to assess her skills. Once this weapon is in her hands, she displays her skills to Lug, making him impressed. The following morning, Tarta wakes Lug up by telling him she will blow him if he doesn't get out of bed. He quickly gets up, having been an old man that cared not for women in his previous life. The following day, they head into town to hopefully purchase some goods to further their endeavours. With Lug providing for various town members, they all seem to want to talk with him, offering various things. Eventually, some peasant runs over asking Lug to help heal his cow, so he helps the man. After this happens, he rides back to his estate with all the gifts from the villagers, wondering how he can use all these goods. He tells Tata that despite him being in good with the people, they could turn on him any time. Because of this, he asks Tata if she is resolved to be an assassin, explaining that it's not an easy job. Tart reminds him of her training the past years, asking him to trust her. She tells him that she plans on serving him forever, so he doesn't need to worry about her, rather focus on himself. Once they arrive back at the estate, Luke talks about how his magical training is proceeding smoothly. Before he continues, however, his father calls him down to chat. He asks how Tata has been proceeding in her training, hoping that he didn't make the wrong decision. He tells Luke that he suspects Tata of being a spy with the intention of stealing their techniques. Luke, however, has full trust in her, explaining to his father that everything so far has shown that she isn't a spy. He explains that by meeting in the mountains and observing her body language, he is sure that she isn't a spy. His father accepts this and moves on to the main task at hand. He explains that he will have his final test soon that will prove his worth as a member of the family. Luke tells him he is ready for the test, causing his father to immediately start it. With the test being a hunt between the two, Luke is forced to use all of his skills acquired thus far to stay alive. Despite Luke being the best assassin in his previous life, this is still no easy task with his father holding immense strength. Eventually he gets a hit in, but breaks his own leg in the process, causing him to think more carefully about the test. He decides to hide behind a rock, but his father discovers his location with ease, leading to an attack. Luke narrowly dodges it, causing the two to fight in close combat. Neither side shows any weaknesses, however, so they are forced to retreat and relocate to hide their position. With nothing seeming to work, Luke eventually decides that he needs to get serious if he wants to win. He stands out in the open to hopefully detect his location, and he succeeds. By trapping his father into throwing 2 attacks, he is able to locate him from above. He then draws his knife and places it against his father's throat, showing that he won the fight. Following this, his father asks why he went easy on him, wondering why he never used magic. Luke explains that if he had used magic, it would be cheating his family's skills, showing he wanted to win fairly. This makes his father impressed, so he tells Luke that he passed the test and is ready to work alongside him. While this happens, a rich noble is seen stacking his money with 2 beautiful women on his bed. Then suddenly Luke's father kills him, leading to a series of assassinations with the two working together. Whether it's by poison, arson, or even just killing in the open, they get the jobs done swiftly. After their killing spree, they head to meet with the client who hired them to collect their funds. On the way home, Luke tells his father that he noticed the man had extra guards around him, causing him to think that they may attack them on the way home. With this, his father explains that because of their business, he has multiple identities. Whether it's a merchant, mercenary, or even an adventurer, his father keeps his identity hidden from the common folk. Eventually, the topic of Luke infiltrating a company comes up, informing us that for the next couple of years, Luke is planning on entering a trading company. Because he will be away for some time, Luke's parents decide to throw a party to wish him luck. During this party, various nobles compliment Luke, causing a guest to become enraged. He throws his glass at Luke and tells him that he can't accept him as the next head of the family. He explains that he is stronger than Luke, thus he should be the heir. Luke's father laughs and tells him to fight his son, causing Luke to waste no time. He gets behind the boy quickly and draws blood from his neck, causing the boy to get even angrier. He refuses to accept Luke's strength, which causes Luke to punish him a bit. He easily breaks his arm, causing his father to announce to the group that Luke will become the next heir. Following this, Luke heads to meet with the boy, hoping to rub in his strength to him. Luke explains that not only did he beat the boy, but also his own father, someone who is considered the strongest in generations within the family. Luke doesn't plan on keeping this boy out of use, however, asking him to become his right-hand man. The boy accepts his request, causing Luke to present a handmade sword to him. This impresses the boy, so he introduces himself to Luke as Rona, a recent subordinate of Luke. The following day, Luke embarks on his journey to work under the trading company, while accompanied by Tart. With Luke having a new identity, he also decides to use magic to change his appearance. With his family having distinguishable silver hair, he changes it to black to enter his overpowered black hair phase. While this happens, some fat businessman enters a new city where he is approached by a blue-haired girl. She welcomes him and asks if he needs anything, to which he explains he wants some liquor. The girl accepts his request and whistles, causing other children to come to her side. She then gives him some doll he'll probably throw out and shows him to the nearest bar. With him being satisfied, she continues doing this to other people, revealing that her ploy is to show people around in exchange for hopefully getting a free meal. The other children doing this scheme tell each other it's all thanks to Maha, the blue-haired girl, that they are able to eat. Then suddenly it starts raining, causing them to all retreat and count how much money they were able to beg from the people. While they talk, Maha reveals that her father was once a merchant, giving her these skills to get some chump change. As the leader of the group, Maha assures everyone to continue working together and earning money. While they talk, some thugs emerge and start rushing them with the intent to rob them. Maha doesn't let this happen, however, so she rushes one of them and knocks him down. With the thugs having a large number of people, the children are unable to get away. The thugs then ship the children off to some foreign place, forcing them to obey their rules. Following this, some fat thug emerges and tells the children that this is an orphanage. He tells them they will be living here now, but the children protest. One of them shouts against it, so the fat thug punches him in the face. He tells the other two what will happen to them if they don't obey, while guiding them to a new room. Here they meet with the other children, where they learn they are being trafficked. They wonder why this happened to them, living a good life, then suddenly being forced into this. With their previous life being taught, they still survived making ends meet. Because of this mindset, they are able to properly obey thugs and do whatever they are told. Despite their efforts, the thugs still punish them for no reason, showing they mean business. Eventually, after a few days, the fat thug emerges alongside a viscount where he is shown the children. The viscount then looks around, hoping to buy one of the children to help with his endeavours. He leaves without taking a child, but he does hand a bag of money to the fat thug. Later that night, while working, one of the thugs emerges and calls upon Maha and another girl. He takes them outside and tells them to wash each other in preparation for later tonight. They then put makeup on and dress until IFA is shipped away on a carriage alongside the fat thug. Following this, Maha goes to sleep, but hears the carriage come, so she looks out the window. She sees Ifa come back, so she decides to meet back up with her, but once she does, she notices something abrupt. Instead of speaking, Ifa breaks down in tears and runs away, not wanting to face Maha. This doesn't stop Maha, however, so she looks around until she eventually finds Ifa crying in a corner. This process continues until Ifa's spirits begin to fade away, making her seem less and less human. One night, when Maha is putting on her makeup, the fat man approaches and tells her that she will be accompanying her tonight. The following day, they go back to work, but this time Maha is called along with her. The other children get mad, so they tell the thug to let them work as well, unknowing to what will happen. Like Ifa, they are shipped off and brought back in shatters. One of the girls gets so upset that she stabs her own face, thinking that no one will want her with such an ugly face. 2 years pass since that day, and Maha is still working on the estate until one day something changes. She overhears the thugs plan to soon put her in the same treatment with her now being of age. Maha thinks about this happening to her, so she runs off, hoping to take her own life and escape the situation. Right before she does, however, Lug emerges and tells her to stop. The following day, Lug is introduced to the children as a merchant that is hoping to purchase one. They all back up, hesitantly, but Lug shows no ill intentions. He tells the thug that he will be buying Maha, so he presents a large sum of money. The fat thug gets happy, hoping to accept the deal and make a large sum of change. After this happens, Maha is washed at night, revealing that the fat thug still plans to make use of her before she goes. While they are on the way to the new estate, the fat thug gropes Maha, making her feel uncomfortable. Instead of being like the others, she slaps him and jumps out the carriage in hopes of getting away. To her surprise, however, one of the other thugs can use mana, so he is able to overpower her. Right before he does something to her, Lug emerges and knocks him out. The fat thug notices this, so he tells Lug that she isn't his yet, so he needs to back off. Lug shows no intentions, however, causing the mana-using thug to rush him. He is easily defeated, and the fat thug soon follows, causing Lug to be the victor in battle. While this happens, the Viscount from before is seen in the act until he gets caught by Tart. Following this, the children are all healed by Lug and freed, while Maha accompanies Lug as a new servant working honourably.